Hey guys, Mark Allen, BHSpringSolutions LLC, BHSpringSolutions.com. We're back for another session of High Power University, and this is the second part of this conversation about the 1927 Grand Rendement, the high power pistol designed by John Browning, and what was it? And we're going to do our very, very best to not speculate and to try to tell a story that doesn't make sense. In a way, there is a story, and part of our motivation for including this as kind of a special part of High Power University about the high power pistol is to bring together what role did John Browning play in this handgun, and as part of that element of this whole exploration into this pistol called the 1927 Grand Rendement, we need to at least come forward with a picture of John Browning around this time, in this part of his life, and which was he was in the twilight years of his life at this point. He was, at this point, considered the world's most renowned inventor, designer, genius. I can tell you, sitting here tonight, BHSpringSolutions, the company that I'm co-founder of, is going to be releasing very soon, within weeks, a completely redesigned trigger subassembly for the high power pistol. And this is a joint design effort between RDIH in Belgium and the designer Léon Hubert and my partner Slav Baruchiev and myself. It took us 21 months to perfect this entire redesign of the high power trigger subassembly. So having said that, our hats off to Dieudonné Save for the work he did in bringing forward the high power pistol in its modern day form as we all know it. This whole notion of designing, creating parts in mechanics. Many of his designs now are over 100 years old. There are a great number of firearms out there today that are John Browning designs that are 100 years old and are still functioning and are still in excellent working order. And what I'm trying to communicate to you, in essence, is after experiencing a taste of what it takes to perfect a new design to the point where function is correct and the objectives and the goals and the benefits of the design are realized, this can be a very long process of trying and failing and retrying and testing and remaking prototypes and testing again, and then one revision leads to another revision leads to another revision, and John Browning had 128 firearms patents in his life, and you understand this is 100 years ago or more. In the cases of a lot of his designs, this was pre-computer, pre-email, a lot of the things that we rely on today to accomplish this kind of work. And he was like a machine with this subject. He invented semi-automatic. He invented full automatic. Along with the 128 firearms patents that he had to his name, he literally changed the face of world-changing battles especially having to do with World War I, World War II, and frankly, every conflict that the United States has been involved in since. There have been firearms designs, and still today there are firearms designed that are workhorses in our military, that are all John Browning's work, and this stuff is 100 years ago. We called John Browning a genius, and after 2 years of experiencing what it is just to redesign a subassembly in one firearm, that already exists for 85 years, is humbling. And putting that in the context of John Browning and what he accomplished, it's convinced me of one thing, and that is, we use the word genius, but there is another level above genius. And I don't believe we have a word for this, because I don't believe any of us understand what this is and how this is possible. Even today in 2020, I have yet to read anything from anybody anywhere that purports to explain how John Browning did what he did. Forget trying to do more than what he did or outdo what he did. Just explain how he did what he did. There's no computers today that can explain how John Browning did what he did, because there aren't computers today that can outdo what John Browning did. And so there is a level of intelligence, and there is a level of ability, and maybe this is some influence of deity, or maybe this is just something that is incredibly once in a lifetime kind of a thing. In any event, John Browning, with each year that has passed in my life, this man becomes more genius as his firearms designs continue to be manufactured today in 2020. A lot of them. Militaries around the world continue to use his designs today in 2020, despite all of our technology and all of our engineering capabilities. And I want to read you something that I printed off of the internet about John Browning, and all of this is we believe to be very, very true, and it's inspirational. Browning was born in Ogden, Utah in 1855, the son of a gunsmith. His father, Jonathan, developed a repeating rifle in 1831 and came to Utah with the pioneers. Browning worked in his father's gunsmith shop starting in 1876 and soon patented his first design in 1878 at the age of 23. Now think about this. You just went to work there's this old saying, don't expect to go to the top, in your first week on the job. And this guy goes to work in his father's gunsmith shop in this western town in Utah that's still, evolving at this time, developing at this time. And 2 years after he goes to work there, he has his first patent issued by the U.S. Patent Office for one of his designs. 2 years. He's 23 years old. When John Browning designed and patented a better gun in 1879, his father built it. That kind of fatherly respect seemed to have a big impact on Browning's life. When Browning sold his .32 caliber pistol design to Fabrique Nationale, the manufacturer recognized his reputation by calling it the Browning. He made 61 transatlantic trips to Fabrique Nationale in Europe, and this is a big thing for me. My partner and I have been to Belgium 3 times, and John Browning went to this same neighborhood 61 times, obviously by boat, to Fabrique Nationale in Europe, and was closely involved with developing one of the best pistols ever. The name Browning became synonymous with the best firearms. Most pistols lever long guns, machine guns, and shotguns were designed by or copied from Browning's designs. He considered his design of the first automatic shotgun in 1902 to be one of his best designs, and it monopolized the market. As we talk about the 1927 Grand Rendement, it pops into my head, that John Browning, another way of saying it one time was his finest achievement. One of his finest achievements was the world's first semi-automatic operating shotgun, that being the Auto 5. It has occurred to me many times, how you are FN or Browning Arms Company in the 21st century, and you discontinue the Auto 5 shotgun, something that the Browning Arms Company's founder described as one of his finest achievements. That's perplexing, but it's also, you do what you do in business based on what you believe is most marketable at the time. And that's what you do if you're a good business person. John Browning was a good business person. And one of the reasons he was such a good business person is because he appears to have allocated most of his time towards what he was most productive doing, and that was designing. At the start of the last century, his designs were in most of the U.S. sporting arms. John Browning had 128 patents for guns. His designs were considered to be mechanical, and I'm going to correct this writing. They are considered to be mechanical engineering marvels and were manufactured by almost all of the gun manufacturers worldwide. Fabric Nacional, who idolized his design genius, and this is a key, Fabric Nacional, they did and do idolize John Browning's design genius, bought the Browning Arms Company in 1977. Browning died in 1926. He was a family man, married to Rachel Teresa Browning with 10 children. He was busy with a family beyond his firearms design pursuits. He influenced his son Val Browning to follow in his footsteps as a gunsmith and businessman. Now, I want to stop here. Val died in 1994. There is a lot of belief that Val Browning, John Browning's son, was a part of the design team with Dieudonné Save, who transformed the 1927 Grand Rendement into the modern day high power pistol. Val Browning, son of John Moses Browning, died in 1994. Browning said of his life that, and I really went to this article because of this quote from John Browning. And John Browning's achievements and even his words, his quotes, are profound when you really think about it. We love one called "Build It Strong Enough, Then Double It." It just seems like the perfect plan. When you're building, manufacturing anything, especially for a firearm, build it strong enough and then double it. Another John Browning quote: "The best firearm is the simplest firearm." And we're going to keep that one in mind as we explore into the depths of this 1927 Grand Rendement and what we can know about it. But keep that one in mind. The best firearm is the simplest firearm. John Browning proved that over and over and over again. And then this one. Browning said of his life that one drop of genius and a barrel of sweat wrought this miracle. His saying, which is memorialized on a plaque at the John M. Browning Museum in Ogden's Union Station, is often repeated by inventors around the world. Browning's firearm designs are considered to be the most reliable in the world and are still found to be in good operating condition 100 years after they were manufactured. To put it in quick context, and to talk about John Browning's legacy and his reputation and his accomplishments, his achievements, this takes a long time to even talk about the entire history. It's incredible. There is, how do I say this? There is a trust level when you have experienced John Browning's designs. When you have gone hunting, or you have competed, or you just go to the range and you experience the best of what this man developed. And there is a regard and there is a respect that develops within you that is unmistakable and it's undeniable also. And it is against this backdrop that we present the 1927 Grand Rendement. One final thing before we go to the details about this final firearms design of John Browning. At this point in John Browning's life, he does not have want for anything material. He does not have want for money. He doesn't really have want for anything that can be achieved by taking a business to a higher level. He has nothing left to prove. And it is against this backdrop that he developed the 1922 model that was submitted for patent application in 1923 and got the patent, his final patent in 1927. It is against this backdrop that we study this 1927 Grand Rendement. A lot of what we read online, and we had no idea to know if this is true or not, but what we read basically is when John Browning first heard what the French wanted, or what was in their request for proposal, an RFP, he didn't even want to take the gig at all, and he just didn't believe in it. And there's speculation that he didn't believe in high capacity, and this makes absolutely no sense. This guy created firearms that would just fire and fire and fire and fire and just go and go and go, where capacity and firepower, come on, it's 1921. He knows capacity and firepower is the name of the game in virtually all firearms, and especially military firearms, right? So this line that, he didn't want to take the gig because he just didn't believe that anything more than a single stack was really necessary or whatever in a sidearm. That doesn't quite add up. It makes a lot more sense that Mr. Browning did not believe in the French and what they decided was best in a sidearm, because he had a better idea, he had a different idea, and ultimately John Browning designed a firearm that is only known to the world today as the 1927 Grand Rendement. And it appears that, as studying this information that is available about that firearm, it appears that he designed partially to meet the France's RFP, and he designed a lot into what he believed would be the world's best combat pistol ever made. And we believe there's a lot of evidence that he just completely hit the ball out of the park, and we're going to get to the details next time here on High Power University. I'm Mark Allen, BHSpringSolutions LLC and BHSpringSolutions.com.